WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert comes out and denies what we all see. All of us see it. The players see it. The coaches see it. The fans see it. The damn parking lot attendants that's standing outside of the venues that's not even in the arenas can see it. That there's a major referee issue with the WNBA.
Now, we know WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert pretty much is not a fan favorite. She's been quiet in most parts. She's looked upon as being a fraud. And quite frankly, people was asking for her to step down, bro.
Accordingly, effective immediately, I am banning.
One line changed everything. Effective immediately, I'm banning. Brittney Griner is banned from the WNBA. Just like that, she was out. Straight from Adam Silver, not a whisper before it happened. The whole league just froze. But this didn't come out of nowhere. Not really. Months ago, Griner was caught on camera going after Caitlin Clark, throwing elbows, talking trash, trying way too hard to break her. You could feel the tension. Everyone saw it. But Caitlin, she didn't budge. She kept hooping, kept cooking defenders, took the hits, and kept her cool. Then Griner fouled out. Caitlin looked her right in the eye and said it plain and simple, "I'm not scared of you." And that's when everything flipped. Because maybe this isn't just about Griner. Maybe someone bigger is pulling the strings. Kathy Engelbert. Her name keeps popping up behind the drama, behind the chaos, behind the silence. And if you look closer, this isn't just a ban. It looks like a cover-up. Let's get into it piece by piece. The sports world gasped when Adam Silver, NBA commissioner turned WNBA crisis fixer, strode into a surprise press conference and detonated the news. Brittney Griner was banned from the league effective immediately. Fans expected a fine, maybe a lengthy suspension, but a lifetime ban? This was something bigger. Silver didn't just make an example of Griner, he sent a message. And that message was loud. Corruption won't be tolerated. But the question wasn't just, what did she do? The real question was, why now? Griner's been the face of the WNBA for nearly a decade. Olympic champion, all-star regular, the first woman in decades to consistently dunk in games. And yet, no warning, no farewell. Silver's words were sharp and deliberate. There is no place in basketball for actions that compromise the integrity of the game. So, what were those actions? The details were buried inside a massive internal investigation, prompted by mounting concerns from players, coaches, and media. Allegedly, it uncovered years of misconduct behind-the-scenes manipulation, abuse of influence, and most damning of all, match tampering. But even as Silver dropped the hammer, fans couldn't help but feel there was more. Because one name wasn't mentioned, the woman who should have stopped this long ago, Kathy Engelbert. Behind Griner's public persona endorsements, appearances, highlight reels, a darker truth festered. The league's internal review unearthed patterns of manipulation that crossed ethical lines. Game outcomes didn't just tilt, they were steered. Reports linked Griner to conversations with officials, subtle influence tactics, and unofficial meetings that raised eyebrows. According to insiders, when playoff races got tight, her team always seemed to benefit from just the right calls at just the right time. Coincidence? Not according to Silver's investigation. One high-ranking source claimed Griner's inner circle had access to sensitive information about referee assignments and scouting reports. They even suggested she had leverage over league staff, possibly through shared connections at the executive level. Yet none of this was new. Whispers had existed for years. So why didn't the WNBA act earlier? Simple. Griner was too valuable. Her name filled arenas. She drew sponsors. She was the PR shield the league leaned on during slow seasons. And with the WNBA finally on the rise, nobody wanted to touch the storm she brought. Until now. The ban wasn't just about what she did. It was about everything that was allowed to happen under the league's nose. And that's where the spotlight turns sharply to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Because if Griner had power, someone gave it to her. Once hailed as the savior of the WNBA, Brittney Griner's career reads like a basketball fairy tale until the last chapter. She was unstoppable in her prime, blocking shots with authority, throwing down dunks that went viral, and carrying Team USA to Olympic gold. She wasn't just dominant, She was a different unicorn in a league searching for relevance. Endorsements poured in. She became a global face for Nike, hosted youth clinics, represented the league in international events. She was the W's most marketable figure until she became its biggest liability. Beneath the surface, the cracks were already forming. Reports of tension with teammates, ref confrontations, ignoring team protocols. Griner had become a disruptive presence both on and off the court. Still, the league looked away. Why? Because she was profitable, until she wasn't. The final years weren't kind. Whispers turned into leaks. Suspicious game trends caught media attention. And then came the investigation. Once the evidence surfaced audio recordings, text messages, and first-hand accounts, there was no saving the narrative. The league had no choice but to cut her loose. But here's the thing. Stars don't fall alone. They're lifted up and protected by systems. And in Griner's case, that system had a name. Cathy Engelbert. The details of the investigation read like something out of a sports thriller. Anonymous tips, leaked emails, whistleblower testimony. Sources inside the league say investigators found direct links between Griner and suspicious officiating patterns, especially during high-stakes games. Text threads showed Griner discussing specific referees by name. Audio captured her strategizing matchups and complaining about assignments. Most damning of all, a second recording, taken during a heated post-game moment, where Griner allegedly instructed an official to control the whistle to secure the seed. That wasn't just trash talk. That was manipulation of the competition itself. Silver's investigation uncovered a network of favoritism, where Griner allegedly had the ear of multiple referees and executives. The fallout was immediate. Officials were suspended. League executives were quietly let go. Griner's name was suddenly radioactive. But the investigation also raised another question. How long had this been going on? And who knew? Turns out, more than a few people. And one of them held the highest seat of power in the WNBA. Engelbert wasn't just briefed. She was warned. Repeatedly. She chose silence. The moment Silver referenced the recordings, everything changed. Until then, the allegations against Griner could have been explained away coincidences, gossip, maybe even envy. But actual voice recordings? That's not speculation, that's proof. According to multiple insiders, league officials gathered at least 2 key audio clips. One allegedly from a locker room meeting, the other from a post-game hallway conversation between Griner and a referee. In the recordings, Griner is heard pushing for momentum swings, questioning why calls weren't going her way, and even suggesting certain players be put on watch. It was enough to shake even the most loyal league staff. Sources say Silver personally reviewed the clips. His response? Immediate. The evidence was undeniable. Griner wasn't just bending the rules, she was re-engineering outcomes. Once that surfaced, there was no more discussion, no appeals, no PR strategy, just the hammer. Still, these tapes raise an even deeper concern. Who allowed this kind of access and influence? Referees aren't supposed to have private conversations with players. This wasn't a one-off, it was a pattern. And patterns don't happen in secret unless someone above is covering for them. All signs now pointed up the chain, straight to Cathy Engelbert. Cathy Engelbert's #1 job was to protect the integrity of the game, not just the players, not the branding, but the sport itself. So when did she lose sight of that? Insiders now say Engelbert had been aware of complaints against Griner for over 2 years. Players brought concerns directly to the league office. Anonymous staff warned about suspicious calls and shady backroom activity. There were even formal reports flagged through internal compliance channels. And yet nothing happened. Engelbert allegedly dismissed the issues or redirected them through internal processes. Some now claim she actively shielded Griner from scrutiny to protect the league's image. Why would she do that? Simple. Money. Griner was a top draw, a recognizable face the WNBA could market. Engelbert, who had staked her leadership on expanding league visibility, needed Griner as a symbol of success, even if the cost was accountability. But that gamble backfired. Spectacularly. Now with the investigation complete and the tapes exposed, Engelbert can't hide behind PR spin. Her name is showing up in reports. Her silence has become complicity. And while Griner's ban makes headlines, fans, players, and journalists are demanding the next name on the chopping block be Engelbert's. Because in any real scandal, the person who let it happen is just as guilty as the one who did it. The pressure on Kathy Engelbert is boiling. What began as whispers among players has erupted into a full-blown league crisis. Silver may have delivered the Griner ban, but fans now want more, and their eyes are locked on the commissioner. Critics say Engelbert isn't just negligent. They say she orchestrated the silence. Multiple sources allege that Engelbert had access to reports detailing referee favoritism, Griner's off-court power plays, and even early versions of those recordings. Some claim she blocked follow-up inquiries. Others say she instructed legal teams to let it go, unless there was a media firestorm. Well, the firestorm's here now. Silver's takeover of the disciplinary process, normally Engelbert's jurisdiction, is telling. It signals a loss of confidence from the NBA side of the partnership. It's rare and unprecedented, and it suggests the league doesn't trust Engelbert to lead the cleanup. Sponsors are reportedly uneasy. Some have paused negotiations. And worst of all, players are speaking out. Hashtags calling for Engelbert's resignation are trending. Former players are calling into sports shows demanding transparency. And rookie stars like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are reportedly furious behind the scenes. This isn't just a scandal, it's a reckoning. Because Engelbert didn't just fail to stop corruption, she might have enabled it. And the WNBA may not survive if she stays in power. You don't expose a superstar unless you've got superstar credibility. That's what made the involvement of Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham so critical. These aren't bench warmers, they're rising icons. Caitlin is the most watched rookie in WNBA history. Sophie is one of the league's toughest two-way players. When they speak, people listen. And what they revealed? Game-changing. According to reports, both players participated in confidential interviews with league investigators. And they didn't hold back. They described games where officiating suddenly tilted, momentum swings that didn't make basketball sense. Clark specifically mentioned moments where defenders got away with contact while her own teammates were whistled for light touches. Cunningham described feeling like games were scripted, that when they played Griner's team, it was like fighting uphill with refs in the way. But the real blow came when audio was played during their testimony. Clark, upon hearing Griner's voice pressuring refs, reportedly asked, "This was going on the whole time?" That moment shattered any benefit of the doubt. Without Clark and Cunningham stepping forward, Silver may never have had the support to act. Their courage turned private knowledge into a public crisis. And now, both players are being hailed as heroes, not just for their gameplay, but for saving the league's soul. But stepping up had consequences, especially for Clark. Because the league she saved, it didn't exactly protect her in return. Just when it felt like the Griner saga couldn't get any deeper, it did. Enter the most controversial twist of all. Allegations about Griner's gender identity and a possible long-term cover-up by the WNBA. It's uncomfortable, it's sensitive, but it's now at the center of the conversation. Whispers about Griner's biological makeup have existed in fringe corners of the sports world for years. But according to league insiders, recent documents surfaced during the investigation that suggested Engelbert and her team may have been aware of potential eligibility concerns and chose to bury them. Medical records, internal memos, confidential communications. The claim? That Engelbert feared revealing such information would ignite public backlash, destroy league momentum, and potentially invite legal scrutiny under Title IX. So instead of transparency, the league allegedly chose silence. Now that Griner's banned, those rumors have exploded into the spotlight, and the damage is real. Fans are questioning fairness, players are wondering what else has been hidden, and sponsors are backing away, unsure of how deep the deception runs. Let's be clear, gender identity should never be a weapon. But secrecy from league leadership, that's a different issue entirely. Because if Engelbert prioritized brand over truth, even at the cost of player trust and public transparency, then this scandal goes far beyond Griner. It becomes a betrayal of everything the league claims to stand for. From the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto a WNBA court, something felt off. She was supposed to be the league's golden child, the savior, the rookie who'd save ticket sales, drive viewership, and elevate the women's game to new heights. And in many ways, she did. Packed arenas, sold-out jerseys, viral moments every night. But the league? Silent. No protection, no fanfare, no real support. In fact, game after game, Clark took hits, elbows, shoves, shoulder checks with no whistles in sight. It started looking less like hazing and more like a message. Don't get too big. Don't make too much noise. And who sends that kind of message? Leadership, namely Cathy Engelbert. Insiders say Engelbert grew uneasy with how fast Clark became the face of the league. It overshadowed veterans. It rewrote narratives. And Engelbert, who had spent years branding the WNBA around parity and legacy stars, wasn't thrilled about a 23-year-old rewriting her playbook. So she did nothing, literally. Let the abuse pile up. Let the referees miss every foul. Let the resentment grow. Clark, to her credit, never publicly lashed out. She stayed focused. Let her game talk. But fans noticed, players noticed, and eventually the whispers got too loud to ignore. This wasn't just bad officiating. It was a deliberate effort to humble a rising star. And the fingerprints? All over Engelbert. Then it happened. After weeks of physical play, late-game fouls, and unchecked aggression, Caitlin Clark collapsed with a quad injury, sidelined indefinitely. Let's talk numbers. In just 4 weeks, Caitlin Clark did what Cathy Engelbert couldn't do in 4 years, made the WNBA relevant. She broke attendance records, boosted ratings by over 200%, drove national headlines, social media trends, and international buzz. ESPN dedicated full segments to her. She made the WNBA cool, and yet Engelbert barely acknowledged her. In an official league article titled "How We Did It," Clark's name appeared twice, both times lumped with Angel Reese and other rookies. No specifics, no praise, no credit. Instead, Engelbert gave credit to, wait for it, the WNBA app. That's right, the application. She claimed updates to the app helped attract fans and modernize the brand. Seriously? No mention of Clark's 3 million viewers at the draft. No mention of her 30-point debut. No mention of her being the single biggest reason every arena was selling out. It was petty, it was political, and it was painfully obvious. Engelbert didn't want to hand over the crown because Clark wasn't part of the plan. She wasn't handpicked. She wasn't molded by the league. She forced her way in with talent and charisma, and Engelbert resented it, so she tried to ignore her. But numbers don't lie. Clark is in the league now. Engelbert's legacy? It's being rewritten by a 23-year-old she tried to sideline. Let's not sugarcoat it. The WNBA wanted a rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It was good for marketing, good for storylines, good for business. But they made a crucial mistake, pretending the two were equals. They're not, and the numbers prove it. Take Chicago, for example. Reese's home city, her supposed turf. During All-Star Weekend, her campaign slogan was, "Come to your trap, take over your trap." But it wasn't Reese who took over Chicago. It was Clark. Thousands ran toward her like she was Michael Jordan. She signed autographs for hours. No extras, no staged events, just raw fan energy. It was pandemonium. Meanwhile, Reese's scenes looked staged. A handful of extras, no frenzy, no mob. And it didn't stop there. Ticket prices in Chicago skyrocketed when Clark was expected to play. After her injury, prices plummeted. 393 tickets dropped to $7. Clark's absence crashed the market. And yet, Engelbert still promoted Reese as her co-headliner, still gave her equal billing, still refused to admit who the real star was. Why? Because the league couldn't accept that Clark was bigger than the brand. Even when cities lit up for her, even when fans traveled across states, it wasn't about rivalry anymore. It was about reality. Clark had arrived, and Engelbert couldn't stand it. And now the final blow. When Ice Cube offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to play in the Big Three, people thought it was a publicity stunt, but he wasn't joking. Cube explained it clearly. Clark unlocks millions. Sponsors follow her. Fans follow her. She creates value just by showing up. But when asked about Angel Reese, Cube kept it blunt. We didn't see the same return. Translation? It's not personal, it's business. This isn't just one rapper making a splash. This is a reflection of the market. Clark is the business. And everyone knows it except, apparently, Cathy Engelbert. While Engelbert clings to parody narratives and legacy names, the rest of the world is building around Clark. She is the draw, she is the brand, and she doesn't need Engelbert's approval to prove it. Even after being bruised, ignored, and sabotaged, Clark still leads the league in impact, influence, and star power. And now, She's got a $5 million mic drop to prove it. If Engelbert won't embrace the future, she'll be left in the past. Because this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about a broken system being exposed one foul at a time. So here we are. Griner's gone. Clark's still standing. And the WNBA feels like it's at a crossroads. This isn't just about one player getting ejected or one game getting chippy. It's about a pattern where the league seems to protect the loudest voices and ignore the ones actually bringing fans through the doors. And one name keeps coming up behind the scenes, Cathy Engelbert. She's not making hard fouls or talking trash on the court, but her influence? It's everywhere in the silence, in the officiating, in the way Clark keeps getting targeted while the league stays quiet. You can feel it building. Clark gets hacked every night, shoved, mocked, baited, and still shows up, still delivers, still lifts the entire league on her back. And what does she get in return? Barely a whistle, barely any support. At some point, people start asking questions. And once fans start seeing the pattern, they don't unsee it. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about respect. It's about leadership. And it's about whether the league is going to protect what's growing or protect what's broken. Because if things keep going like this, it's not just Griner who's out. It's the entire system that's about to break wide open. And we'll be right here watching every move.